All right, we back. Episode number 2, where the shift happens. It's time once again, you all, to bless y'all evening, night, morning, whenever you decide to check us out. This day's episode is something that we wanted to do because there's a lot of people out there that has been where me and Miss Tiffany, we went through a few things. And this episode here with, once again, my partner, Miss Marquita Leonard.
What's going on?
And we're here with Tiffany, and we're gonna talk about something that a few people, I won't say a lot of people, but probably a few people that's in your family or not, or that that went through a few things. And this episode, we're gonna talk about overcoming darkness. And that darkness in this particular episode is gonna come into the form of being incarcerated. And once you go through a situation like that, really a lot of people write you off. The world basically writes you off. But to be able to go through that situation and come back, swinging like nothing ever happens, it takes a very strong individual. And I just want to, go into it, just dive straight into it with, one of my partners right here. I've gotten to know Tiffany pretty well over the last few months. Her and my best friend, they're great friends. They've been out here holding it down. And I just want to, give it to her and let her just go dead straight into her story. Miss Tiffany?
We just going dead in.
We're going to just go dead in. We're not going to play with it.
I'm here to encourage and inspire.
Yeah, because your story inspired me when I first heard it, and I'll be honest with you. And I've been through some stuff.
Man, we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony always.
Amen.
It's every day is a new day to start over. So I treat every day like a new day, to be new, to be whole, in a transition. How far are we going back? Y'all don't want to start with a question to get us in a groove? How far are we going back?
We
can start with a question. So I want to know, at what point in your life did you say, hey, I got to change my life and the way that I'm living?
That's good right there. That's a good one, Keith.
She went there.
Hey, you went there. That's a good one right there.
She thought about that one.
That was a good one right there. I think for me, living a life of disaster and turmoil and confusion and low self-confidence and trying to live to please everybody. I think the turning point for me was when I had a gun to my head tied to a chair in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and my son was at home in the bed. And it was a drug deal going bad, and it was some dudes that I dealt with and my family told me not to deal with, and I kept dealing with them anyway, and I felt it. I felt it. And at that point, the only thing I can really think about was Mike is going to wake up and I'm going to be dead in an apartment and I'm going to be on the news. And they're not going to find out what happened to me until I'm on the news. Wow. So it was crazy because I was praying. Actually, I was mad at God at that time. I believed, but I didn't believe because I was just so angry, bitter, hurt, confused. I had so many just emotional strains and just the world, my fictitious world and my reality world on my shoulders. I sat there and God was like, pray. And I didn't even remember how to pray for real no more. But I remember my grandmother used to make me do the Lord's Prayer every night. My granny was a praying granny, both of my grandmamas. My mama, even though she was ignorant as hell, that was still my girl, but she was a praying mama. That's the only thing I could think of was the Lord's Prayer. And I started saying the Lord's Prayer, and the Lord told me to say it louder while I was in that chair. And I was confused, but I started saying it louder, and the guy was like, if you say one more thing, I'm going to blow your head off. So luckily, one of the guys literally wanted to kill me after he smoked weed with coke. and they didn't have a blunt.
Oh, wow.
So he had to leave to go to the store and left me with one of the other guys. And when the Lord said, pray louder, and I did, and he looked at me and said, if you say one more thing, I'm going to blow your head off. And then the Lord said, pray louder again, and I did it. Now, this was a white boy, so he immediately turned red and got teary-eyed. And he said, my granny used to pray this same prayer to me. I'm going to let you go, but you ain't getting no coke. You ain't getting no money. You better run out of here, because when he get back, ain't no telling what's going to happen to me. Yeah. I was so scared, y'all. I was shaking. I got to the car, dropped the keys. I hurried up, got in the car. I drove like I was driving to Atlanta and not going back to Nashville. I pulled over on the side of the freeway, probably 15, 20 minutes down, and literally crawled from the driver's seat to the passenger seat and just laid on the grass outside, just on the side of the freeway. And I'm like, God, why? You know? So I had this friend, his name is Maurice. We called him Mr. Bowtie. He was super churchy. He used to get on my nerves. I get to the house, I pull Mike out of the bedroom, and I'm just crying, holding him. And then I called my best friend at the time, Kim, and told her what happened. And I told Mike, I was like, you know what? I'm so sorry. I was just holding my kid. I'm telling him I'm so sorry. He's like, Mom, what's up? What's up? I'm like, I'm so sorry. I got a text message from Maurice that said, the Lord told me to invite you to my church. Now, mind you, I ain't been going to no church and none of that stuff. So I'm like, dang, all right, I'm going to go. So as time go by, now I'm realizing, like, I don't have no drugs. I don't got no money. I done all of this stuff, like nothing working. My folks is getting murdered. My folks is going to jail. Like, everything is just not working for me. I tell him once the reality sit, like, I'm okay, like, I ain't going. I popped a pill and couldn't go to sleep. He said he prayed in the Holy Ghost in the parking lot until I called, and the Lord told him don't leave, and I went to church. I walked in this church. It was all these white people, black people. The pastor looked like he was like an old pimp with slick hair. You know what I'm saying? But it was out in the country. When I tell you, when I walked in there, the pastor was like, oh, I ain't gonna play with them devils. I'm telling you now. He was street, you know? And we respect street. So, you know, he talked to me for a minute. All the folks was loving on me. The white people was coming up, hugging on me. It was weird because I'm not emotional, like affectionate. And I really don't like people. You know what I'm saying? So I joined this church, and this church saved my life. The Lord used Pastor Scales to save my life. And he didn't play with me. He was really a father figure. And I gave him hell. I gave them people in that church hell. And he did not leave my side. He did not ever turn his back on me. And from that point on, I had vowed to God and to Pastor, like, I didn't want to disappoint none of them no more. And then my life just changed from there. You know, I went through a whole bunch of stuff. I went through a moment of trying to get back in the streets. I called Pastor. You know, he prayed with me, and the church would do stuff for me and my son. It changed Mike's life. So that was the turning point that made me say, you know what? I gotta kill some old parts of me. Like, the Lord gonna have to really change my heart, because I was so angry, so bitter, so defensive. I didn't like women at all, because I just felt like they were shady, or they reminded me of traits of my mom, and it was just real hard growing up with the way my mother was. So, you know, that changed my life. It changed the trajectory of how I thought. And even my defenses went down, actually getting pure love from women that was intentional, and they didn't come with malice and malicious intent.
That's real. So another question that I would like to ask is, when did you know that God was really real in your life? Because I don't know if you remember, last January, you was going through some things, and you called me and you were crying. And I said, hey, let's pray. And you told me, I don't want to pray. Do you remember that?
I do.
So, like, when you said that, it was like you were angry at God at that moment. Mm-hmm. And then I invited you to Denver to go to Torrey Roberts' event. Mm-hmm. So, being that, we all go through things in life, and a lot of people, certain things happen in our life, and we feel like God is not on our side, or God don't love us, or why is this happening to me? How do you push yourself through it to know and not blame God for your problems?
Y'all got to get the rest on her podcast. See y'all later. I was mad at God, but I have known he was real a long time. But just like any child, we get rebellious. It doesn't mean that you're not our parent. We just get rebellious, and then he have to bring you back in, and you have to be humble before him. Right. So a lot of the stuff I was just being a spoiled brat. I was just being, when you walk in purpose, on purpose, the Lord is going to limit the type of things that you do. Even if you try not to do it, he's going to limit it, because your potential, he wants you past your potential. And if we're not strong enough to get rid of it, sometimes he do it for you, and it hurt worse, and you got a bigger lesson. But then I snap out of it after a minute, So for me, it wasn't so much as when I said it then, I wasn't believing. I was just being stubborn. And stubborn is the reason why I was in a lot of the positions that I was in. But I think it helps your faith. I think when you go through things and your faith is tested, a lot of times people don't understand. It was a situation where the gentleman, when God told him to do something and he said, I'm going to do it, and he didn't. And then it was one where God told him to do something. He said, I'm not doing it, but he did. God favored the one that did it, who said he wasn't going to do it. So, our disobedience in one area, when we listen to him on another area, that's where the blessing comes and the growth comes.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yes. I want to ask, in reference to that, and going along with what you just said, I struggle with, when I went through, everything that I went through, and we'll get to that in a minute, the fast money, and I know in your life God changed, and you knew what you wanted to do, and you knew where you wanted to go, but my question is, outside of having faith and God being a part of your life, what shifted that addictive nature in reference to being in the streets, fast money, because at the end of the day, once you start living that life, and and not saying that it was something that you did your whole life, but even for a specific period of time, once you start living that life, it's like if you're selling drugs, you're even more addicted than the individuals that's using the drugs that you're selling it to, because the money is an addiction. My thing, the lifestyle was addictive. Mm-hmm. I love I love what the money brought once I got it. I like the nice clothes, mm-hmm. the nice cars, the jewelry, mm-hmm. The attention, mm-hmm. So what shifted in reference to, how did you overcome that addiction? And once you decided to change your life?
That was one of the hardest things for me. I had to I hated my dad because he was a dope fiend. And he chose me for drugs since I was 2 years old, and still on dope. And the only thing wrong with this dude is asthma. Okay? The analogy I use for that, what made me stop hating him, is the fact that I realized I was addicted to money and would do anything for money. So for me, I was young, working jobs at 13, shoveling snow, making lemonade, whatever. 15, 2 jobs. 16, 2 jobs in school, catching 2-3 buses. Boom, start your own business. Boom, it ain't enough money. Boom, deal with an older man who actually shows you and takes care of you. And now, when he get ready to leave, you feel inferior. So now you got to put your mindset at a space of anything a nigga could do, I could do better. Right? So the thirst and the hunger for success, the thirst and the hunger for increase, the thirst and the hunger to have money, to be my own resource and not depend on nobody and have the attitude of fuck everybody, That was my goal. I don't need no nigga. You not about to take care of me. If you popping bottles and you going to the All-Star game, I'm doing a booth and I'm going. You going VIP, I'm going. So for me,
money.
Yeah, that's exactly what I want.
That's what it is.
So for me, I had to look at it and say, damn, you know what? 16, I was raped. 16, I met my son's father, 6 years older than me, in a 21 and up club. I'm in the 11th going to the 12th. Okay. You look at it and you say, damn, I did prostitution. I sold dope. I had friends based on stature. I used people to get what I want. I belittled those who had less. All of that stuff is an internal darkness. So I had to look and say, damn, look around. I really don't even got no real friends. All these people around for something. You know why? Because that's the law of attraction that I did. So because of that's who I was, everybody around me was takers, leeches, suck you dry, talk shit about you, hey queen you, and then turn around and hey bitch you to somebody else. So I looked at myself and I said, you know what, Tiffany, you pretty fucked up. You need to change. It's 2 ways out of this. Dead and in jail. And the bonus is all you got is you, and you should be afraid of that. So I said, you know what? I do anything for money. That's an addiction just like coke. I don't have no ground rules of what I won't do for money. From the ugliest nigga with all the money laying up, acting like I like them and can't stand no parts of them. That's prostitution. It ain't no easy way to say it. That's doing something for money. There's no good intentions. So I evaluated me and said, you know what? I don't like who I am. I don't want to be this person for the rest of my life. I want to be a different person. I want to be a game changer. I want to change the lives of little girls and women who are just like me, broken into pieces and scared to put the pieces back together because you don't even feel like you deserve it. So I said, you know what? Lord, I'm opening up my heart. I'm a perfectly imperfect person. I'm still not about to ever be no Saint Mary Clarence, but I want you to use me. I do. I want you to change me because I don't like this. And when I got real with myself and actually opened up enough to allow him to change me for real internally and then externally, because the outside can be as beautiful as possible and the inside is poison. And I was poison. I could smile real good. My teeth was nice and white. I had this nice personality until you got to know me because I was broken and I was broke. So that's what I did. I evaluated myself and come to find out for many years, I hated myself. So I wore this I'm so good and I got the Gucci Louis Prada and I was broke as hell and broken. You know, I'm trying to live for the expectations to please people that didn't even like me.
That's deep.
Just to get a rise, to have an aha moment and then go home and cry myself to sleep. Go home and pop the anxiety and stress pills that I wound up being addicted to.
And reset, start all over again.
Absolutely. Now I turned into my father. So now I'm scared. But then my mother is a beast. My mom is a show you person. I had the smartest mouth in the world, y'all. My mama put a gun to my head, told me she would blow my head off. I used to say I wanted to kill myself when I was little. She said, go ahead, cock the gun. Here, hold it. Shoot yourself. Go ahead. I never did it. My mom put her hands on me. I call myself slamming her. She busted a second floor window with my body and hung me out of it. To where my neighbors was downstairs like, Arlene, please let her up. Please let her up. Hung me out the second story. I had that type of mother. But she was also the only nurturing she knew. So she never missed a track meet, a dance recital. If somebody's on me, whether it's a teacher, whatever, she coming, you know. But her tough love superseded her affectionate love, which made me have a hard heart anyway, because I didn't have the nurturing that I needed from her in the areas. But I needed her to love me like I wanted to be loved, not like how she only knew how to love. You know? So, just coming from that, you just be hard. You be tart, and you got to learn how to grow out of that and go. And it's a product of your environment, but when you don't want that to be your end environment, you change it. People can't blame their environment their whole life because you have the power to change it. Exactly. And that's what I wanted to do, was change it.
That's deep. Because I feel like all of us have something that we have overcame. And I feel like a lot of people do not attack their past. Like they hold on to it. They don't never grow and heal from it. So how has healing been for you? Like, I know sometimes you often think about things that you've been through, but how has the healing process? Did you have to go to therapy? Like, what steps did you take to become this better version of yourself?
I think the Black community was totally against a lot of therapy and therapeutic expression and communication through family issues. I've tried counseling, but I did not like women, so women couldn't counsel me. And if you counseled me and you have never been through what I've been through, I didn't respect you. So counseling never worked for me because they gave me somebody who was book smart but did not have the life experience to even guide me and understand my language. Fuck your books and what you was taught. Can I relate to you? Mm-hmm. How did you come out of darkness? Oh, you didn't? Why we talking? Right. That was me. So counseling didn't help me. Honestly, I can't even lie to you. If I didn't go to the church that I went to, that's what saved my life. Because my pastor, I was ignorant in church. They would come put wraps around me and I'd throw it in their face. They come try to talk to me in the bathroom. I'd be about to fight them. When I first got there, I was dressed like I was in a club. My pastor looked at me and was like, I'm not about to play with you with them devils. Because he could see lust, But when you a certain way for so long, that was my norm. I could come to church in my club gear because the churches that I used to go to was big. Everybody did it. But that church was so intimate, it taught me tact. It taught me to enhance my character. It taught me to be more feminine. It taught me to have more discernment, even with how I dress. I could look in the mirror and be like, I can't wear that to church. Mm-hmm. So for me, it wasn't like an aha moment of, this is it overnight. It was progression. And it was me getting closer and closer and more in God's word. Mm-hmm. That's what helped change me, because I still was messed up. But every time I messed up, I go to God and I go to my pastor and I go to his wife, and they be right there morning and night. I can call them at any given time. If they don't answer, they calling me back. If I had a problem, if I was crying, if I was depressed, whatever. And that helped me to be around people who genuinely loved me and didn't have an ulterior motive because I was so guarded. So for me to have them and knew it was pure, I could be myself. I didn't have to pretend, I didn't have to act like, everything's good, I'm happy and full of joy. No, I can call him and be like, yo, I'm talking to you like your daughter right now, not the pastor. Like, don't even come at me right now. Right. And he'd be like, okay, So that's what really helped me. It took me about 6 or 7 years. And even now, honestly, guys, when it comes to the healing, I'm not healed in a lot of different areas of my life. I'm still working on that stuff because I brushed it under the rug for so long. It resurfaces when people bring back things in remembrance, or they are like something that you had before. Then it's like everything surfaces up. Like earlier when you sit on the podcast, when I get boiled up, I hold everything in. And when I get boiled up, I do the whole rundown from beginning to end, where it's no way I can come back from it. You every week, bum, I'm everything that I hated that you've done that I've been quiet about, I'm running it down to you. Yeah. Ain't no coming back from it. So I think for me, so many people burn me. It's like I went to only trust in myself. So my safe haven was my car, because I would hide my emotion from my son by sitting in my car or just driving around or being quiet. So I didn't like to expose certain things to people because I didn't want them to have leverage. Yeah. And then people, even in the church, they want to know everything about you so they can teach you how to be just like them. And that wasn't your purpose. And then they use what you tell them against you, even in the church. So, that's how that went for me, man. And it's ongoing. I ain't gonna lie to you. Like, I've been through so much from a child up into an adult and even growing. Like, my experience grows every day. It's a lot of stuff that I dealt with that I have never addressed emotionally and don't even know how. Don't even know where to start. Like, for me, I could say I forgive you, right? But I really don't forgive you. Like, I'm always going to have in the back of my head, if you grimy, if you did something outlandish, or something that makes me never want to trust you, that's going to be on this shoulder. So when I say, oh, yeah, I forgive you. Oh, yeah, I forget. I'm really lying, because my makeup with all the stuff that I've been through, I'm programmed to kill or be killed.
And, I mean, so you hit so many points, I mean, that just really resonates with me, thoroughly, because I've went through that a lot, and going through some of the things that I've went through, and once you go through it and you come out of it and you're still working on yourself, you're still healing, people have, they'll see a change, and then all of a sudden you're different, and then they put the expectations up here, because now you're this different person, but you can't forget I'm still a beast. Like I didn't lose that side of me. It's just that I'm pressing it down right now to change.
Yes.
But God is still working on
yes.
me. And so and that's one thing that anybody those who are listening out there need to understand. When an individual has been through a lot, and you might not even know the depths that individual has been through. Don't have expectations that you can't even live up to.
Absolutely.
That you put this individual through, because that's what I see a lot of people do. They have such high expectations because they're seeing something in you that they want to be themselves, and they put you on this pedestal, and they want and then if you falter or you slip a little bit, oh, you're the worst person in the world. Oh, you haven't changed.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, I wasn't supposed to be perfect in the beginning.
Right.
Like, could you turn that mirror around and put it at your, point it back at yourself? Because Absolutely. At the end of the day, that's what we need to do as people. You know what I'm saying? Because we put too much pressure on each other.
Absolutely.
And like I can lead you, I can guide you, I can be a role model to you, but you need to be the role model for yourself first.
Absolutely.
And that's what I see and what I hear from you, that you changed internally, and you're still working on that change, and the church was a instrumental part in that.
Absolutely.
And so and I mean my heart goes out to you, because I've heard the story before, but every time I hear it, it resonates. I say it sizzles in my spirit. And so it just makes me feel good. To hear it from, because I hear it from a guy all the time. But to hear it coming from the opposite sex, and a woman that has been through it, it's a little different. It hit a little different.
Yeah.
And so I congratulate you on your your journey. I know it's not over with yet. I mean, I follow you. I see the grind. And I'm blown away a lot of times. Like, I look up to you, just to be totally honest. So it's just more of a situation where just keep pushing. As far as the questions, you basically answered all the questions that I may have. Because you're so thorough. Because I can tell the feeling that you have. Like, a lot of people, you listen to a lot of people, you see they're just putting on for the camera. And this is not that situation. When we started this, me and Marquita, we wanted to, not call it the real, but we want the real.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Period. Like, it's so much fluff going on nowadays, and people don't really give you the intimate side of themselves. They want to show what they want to show so they can be socially correct or perfect, and none of us are perfect.
Man, they want the perfect patties and perfect pats. To piggyback on something that you said, one thing that I've learned, and that I have a lot of issues with, that actually are a hindrance in my relationships that I have with men, is they have these expectations for me. They're false expectations, because potential is an illusion. Potential is not the reality of what you see. Potential is the reality of what you think you see that you can pull out of somebody. If they're not ready, then it's not coming out.
Right.
So that's the illusion. You know what I'm saying? You have to take people for face value. Who they show you they are is who they are. You have to believe that. You have to be okay with, if they're like that for 100 years, can you handle that?
For 100 years, yeah.
So for me, if I tell you, hey, I don't like this, I don't like that, we can work on it, but if you do that again, I'm going to be gone. Right? And then you break your boundary and give them another chance. Now you stepping on your internal growth because you created the boundary, you set the tone, but you didn't stand on it. And that's what be my problem sometimes, is because of my past and because I'm very transparent about my past, there's a certain type of man that I feel like would not be able to relate to me, and I can date them for a minute and don't like them and call them lame or feel like they're not relatable because they've had both parents. They went to prestigious schools that they didn't have to pay for. They have very solid relationships. They have great communication skills. So it's like you pull back and be like, I gotta kind of still have a savage because he don't understand me, Yeah. But those are those internal things, because once you grow and you change, you have to accept that growth and change and believe it and not live in who you were, because you deserve the best. You deserve the best. You are the best. And you just got to keep pushing to grow and go every day. But those expectations that people give are what they desire. That's not even in people. You just desire it.
Yeah. That's good stuff, because as you was talking, I was thinking about how you were saying about the guys and the expectations and how they were raised. And it takes me to a story that I would tell my classes when I was teaching, and it was like business classes, things of that nature. But I would always have like a food for thought, and one of the classes I elaborated on an individual's environment or their background, how they was raised, and I broke it down to them in a way to whereas if I turn myself into a person, like I'm number 23. I'm 47. So, my number 23 is different from somebody that's 30's number 23. So I'm number 23. I got multiple scoring titles. I won the slam dunk contest a couple of times. I've done multiple things. I got my own shoe, and I asked the class, who am I? They say Michael Jordan. So if I go home as Michael Jordan and I tell my son, go grab a ball, let's go play ball, what ball is he going to grab?
Basketball.
Exactly. Because his perception of how he was raised made him grab that basketball. And that has a lot to do with relationships. Because if you pair yourself with an individual that is in a relationship that was raised differently than you, it's going to be a lot of bumping heads. It's going to be things that they expect that you can't provide, things that you expect that they can't provide, and that's what makes a lot of the turmoil in the relationship. It's not always financial. A lot of times it's about how you perceive certain things, how you go at certain things, and a lot of that also deals with coming up out of that darkness. Because if I was raised in an abusive household and I never seen a healthy relationship, or I saw my mom beat, or I was beat on as a child, and all these things happen, that is and I subdue that, and I put that in a box. I compartmentalize it, and I'm trying to be this different person. And once I quote unquote come out of the darkness, and I'm with my mate, and she does something, and once she do something that brings back that memory,
it's a trigger.
And that's why in our community, therapy is necessary. Because I can talk to you, I can be your best friend, I can talk to Marquita, and we can talk, but I haven't been trained to ask certain questions. I don't even know the questions to ask. And in therapy, that's where you would get someone asking a question that's going to hit a level that maybe I can't ask you that question because I don't know what to ask.
Right.
And I have had a few therapy sessions myself. I need to go to therapy right now, because I'm a little crazy. But I am. I'm a little crazy, but and a lot of times that'll bring something up out of you that maybe you need to address. And we all need work, and especially me going through some of the things I've went through, hearing your story again, and knowing some of the things that you went through. That's something that we have to deal with, going forward, because one thing we can't never get back is time.
That's it.
And so we waste a lot of time, and I won't just say waste time, we spend a lot of time, going through things over and over again because we haven't dealt with them. And I think coming out of that dark place, we can, be financially inept, what I'm saying? We can be social butterflies, so so to speak. We can be holier than thou, we can be very spiritual, but if we still have those dark patches in our life that we haven't addressed.
Absolutely.
All it takes is a wrong move, a wrong word, or something that brings that back up, and now we've regressed.
Yeah.
It's like an alcoholic that's been going to AA for 10 years, and he have a bad moment. The girlfriend acts up or something like that, or someone dies that he was close to, and he grabs that bottle.
Yeah.
And it's gonna take him back.
Yeah.
So and I think when coming out of that darkness, we have to deal with those dark places that aren't on the surface. And that actually allows us to heal totally.
Absolutely.
Heal completely.
Absolutely. The things that make you uncomfortable. The
things
things that convict you.
Exactly.
Because people try to convict you, but you have to convict you. You have to feel it. It doesn't bother me what people say. It bothers me what I feel that I've done wrong that said I was convicted. You can't convict me. So that's the thing. You have to be able to convict yourself, know when you wrong, correct it. Look at yourself, evaluate, and say, this part of me needs to change.
Absolutely.
It got to go.
That's it.
It got to go.
Absolutely. So in closing, what advice can you give someone who's having a hard time getting over their past and want to change but just don't know how?
The best advice I would give them is to actually learn them, love them, fall in love with themselves, fall in love with their perfections and imperfections, figure out what they're passionate about and purposeful in, walk in alignment with that, and do not expect validation from people that are not walking in line with their purpose. Stop asking for permission to be great. Stop screaming, be humble, and have humility. There is a difference. So for me, my motto is executing excellence without excuses. And it's imperative that you execute in your excellence without excuses, not anybody else's. My advice to you is to walk on purpose, and do not let anybody dim your light. If you have been dimming your light to blend in when you were set to blend out and bring people in, it's time for you to walk in that. And unapologetically, to a point where they gonna follow you, you not following them. Don't let nobody bring you from up to down. You bring people that's down up. Everything I look at is from the top down, not from the bottom up no more. And they could take that shit how they want. That's my life every day. I'm living from the top, looking down. I'm a progressively progress every day. And I recommend that you progressively progress every day. Every day is a new day to start over. When you start over, everything starts over. You broke today all over again. That means your hustle's supposed to be enhanced. You happy today all over again. That means you make you happy from the time you wake up to the time you go to sleep. You are full. You are fulfilled. That's my advice.
And I totally agree with you on that. And we do these coaching calls, and I always tell individuals on these coaching calls that it's good to have plans. It's good to set goals for yourself, but a lot of times the goals are so
astronomical
out here. You need to bring it back. And one of my main sayings, and anyone that I've talked to or coached or counseled, it's not about what I can do tomorrow. It's what I can do before midnight today.
Absolutely.
And if a lot of individuals would start living in that, you'll see that tomorrow's not promised.
Right.
You know, and I have to do everything I need to do, everything I was put here to do, everything that's purposeful today before midnight. If you want to read that book, read that book. If you say you're going to go work out, go ahead and work out.
Absolutely.
One of the biggest sayings, do it now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I had to continue to feed myself that. Do it now. Oh, I don't feel like. Well, go ahead and do it now, because that's the best time to do it. Is once you don't want to do it. You know. So I appreciate you once again. You know, you inspire me. You know, wholeheartedly, Tiffany. I must say, and you know, I'm anxious to continue to, you know what I'm saying, follow you and see exactly, you know, where Lord's going to take you. You know what I'm saying, in these next few months and years.
I appreciate y'all.
So tell people how they can find you on social media, a little bit about what you do, and your social media handles.
I'm a financial strategist. So for me, I actually teach individuals and business owners how to monetize and make multiple streams of income, working smart, not hard, different levels of investments from beginners to advanced, and we just multiply. My Facebook is Tiffany, Tiffany Williams. My Instagram is Miss MZ Tiffany, Tiffany Williams. And you can find me on LinkedIn, Miss Tiffany Williams as well.
All right. Thank you for coming, Tiffany.
Thank you for having me. I love y'all.
Love you too.